Welcome everyone for this interactive session with Womanium on how to build a successful team and how to successfully complete your projects. The interesting thing over here is that the projects have been very clearly detailed with specific tasks and work which you should do to complete it. So it's not exactly an open-ended project this time. The only difference is your team. So how do you make sure that your team is well built, well structured, and how do you work together collaboratively within the next month or so to come up with the best project solution? That is what we'll try to cover today. And by all means, it's an interactive session, so please feel to put your questions on Discord. We'll be very happy to discuss them. We'll also have certain quiz questions which we would like you to answer on Discord along the way while we do the presentation. And yeah, with that, let me get started. But before I move into tips and tricks, I just wanted to give a very quick highlight and overview on the timelines we have for the industry project. For now, this is the road to the project submission. So August 5th was the official date to submit your projects, your teams that has already been passed. But because we have received a lot of interest from a lot of participants, we have kept the registrations open. So you can still register your teams, register your projects by submitting quiz 8.1 on Canvas. And this also means that you can invite your colleagues, your friends, people you know who might be interested in working on these kind of projects and have them register, number one, on the Womanium program, and number two, by submitting the quiz number 8.1 on Canvas for the projects. After August 5, we still have a lot of lectures going on, so you can continue working on the lectures, on the modules. It's up to you. But on July 28th, we want to have a mid-project health checkup for the projects and the teams. So what you're expected to do on July 28th is just submit your GitHub repo as it is, like whatever has been done on it, that's completely fine. Submit it on Canvas. We'll have a quiz over there. And we just want to make sure that you are well aware that this is kind of a midpoint on your project journey. And this is a good point to reflect back that what has already been accomplished, what are the tasks that are still left, that are still pending for you to complete, and how can you restructure, reorganize your team so that you can come up with a successful project within the final stages, final half of the entire timeline. July 28th to August 2, that is the last 2 weeks of the project. We will also host live office hours with the Womanium mentors, with the project managers, and with the industry partners. So this is like the final stretch of the project. Any questions, any queries, we want to solve them as soon as possible. So this would be a very nice opportunity for you to come to the live office hours, interact with the industry partners and see what exactly they want the project to be. Or maybe you have certain questions you can answer, get the answers to your questions right then and there. Technical questions, yes, please feel free to come. Non-technical questions, maybe about your presentation deck, or how do you want to structure your project, or what kind of documentation is expected. Any and every type of questions is welcome in the office hours. So stay tuned for that. We'll be scheduling those office hours very soon, and they would be available in the schedules page in the calendar very soon. Finally, August 9th, that is the key date to remember, project submission. So all the participants need to submit their final projects on Canvas, very similar to the project and team registrations which you did on August 5. You need to submit your entire projects with the GitHub link on August 9. Remember, again, each team member needs to submit the project individually on Canvas. So that means there's no single submission per team. Rather, there's a single submission per participant. Another point to remember, this is a usual thing. You keep your GitHub repositories private just to make sure that no one copies or sees your solution. Make your GitHub repository public when you're submitting it. Otherwise, we also won't be able to see it, and then we won't be able to evaluate your solution. So before submission, double check that your GitHub repository is made public. And then what happens after August 9th? So after August 9th, then it's the timeline to demo day and beyond for QSL fellowships and all the exciting stuff happens. So after you submit your projects on August 9th, the teams will start being judged by the Womanium team, mentors, and the industry partners. And we'll take some time to judge all the project submissions. We have a lot of participants, so this would obviously take some time. On August 13th, we will announce the project finalists for each of the 3 projects. And these finalists will be invited for presenting their projects on the final demo day. The demo day is scheduled on August 15th. So you all should be present over there to see what the finalists have built And the finalists will have the opportunity to present their project to the entire audience of Womanium, but also to our external partners. This would be a really, really good opportunity to display your projects to an amazing audience. Before August 15th, we'll have a pitch practice session for the demo days. So the finalists are welcome to attend that session just to make sure that your presentation decks are very good. They are perfectly balanced. You should be very ready with what you want to speak, how you want to deliver, how do you want to make sure that it is within the time restrictions, and how can you present it very well. So all those tips will be discussed on August 14th. And August 15th, we have the finalists present their projects. And after the presentations, we'll also announce the Womanium grant winners. You can scroll on the GitHub repository to learn more what exactly Womanium grants are. But yeah, some of the projects will be chosen for these grant winners, and they will be announced right then and there after the presentations on the demo day. On the demo day, we'll also announce the QSL Fellowship nominees. So these nominees are the ones which are shortlisted for the QSL Fellowships. They might or might not get selected, but they have a pretty good chance of getting selected. After August 15th, we'll do the background checks. We'll make sure that you are eligible for the projects. And if you are, those nominees will be selected. And the selected ones will start their QSL Fellowships on selected projects with the industry partners under some amazing mentors starting from September 1. So this is the timeline. And now I would like to take a quick 1-minute break to see if there are any questions on Discord about the timeline, or if there are any questions about when do they submit, how do they submit. Yeah.
There is a question, how many finalists will be selected by Vaishnav?
Yeah, it's absolutely flexible. If there are a lot of good solutions, we'll just invite all of them to the finalists. We just want to make sure that the finalists who are selected for the demo day are really good. So if you are building a good solution, if you tick all the boxes, complete all the tasks, it is a understood thing that you might make it up to the finalists. So we do not have a hard and fast rule that, only 5 finalists or only 10 finalists. It's pretty flexible. If your solution is good, there's a good chance you might become a finalist.
Then a question from Hussein. Who will review the projects, Womanium or the partners?
Both. So the Womanium technical team, as well as our mentors, our technical team, and the project managers will review it. It will also be reviewed by our industry partners. So whichever project you are doing, that project will be obviously referred by and reviewed by the industry partner that has helped us and collaborated with us in hosting that particular project. So yeah, both of the organizations will be involved for them.
Then Marcy from Canada asks, how does the project flow into the certifications? And let me comment on this. There will be 2 certificates. One is the project certificate, the Womanium Quantum+AI Project certificate, and one is the final badge. And for the final badge, not only multiple modules will count, but also the project. Now, to which extent do you need to succeed in the project to get the project certificate and to make it count towards the final badge? For that, you will need to pass the project. You don't need to be a finalist. And in the project descriptions is indicated what is needed to pass the project and what will make you go beyond it and could make you eligible to become a finalist for Womanium grants and for fellowships. Anything to add to that, Vardaan?
No, that covers it, everything.
Nahid from Portugal asks, can you once more explain about GitHub? And let me add to that also, what is the submission on GitHub versus what do we then need to do on Canvas?
So let me just stop sharing my screen. I think this is a good point where I can actually share my screen, scroll through the GitHub repository, and guide you on what exactly is needed over there. So just give me a minute on that.
In the meantime, let me comment on a question by Negar from Turkey. She asks, will we have any targeted sessions on the papers for Classic? Yes, there will be 2 talks. The authors of the paper by Google Quantum AI. Let me go to the actual session. Yeah. Exponential quantum speedup in simulating classical coupled harmonic oscillators. Rolando Somma, one of the main authors of the paper, will be in the session and speak on this topic. Same for the paper by IBM. So 2 out of 3 papers will be presented in the live session. And for the third, we are also in touch with the author. And if there are any advanced questions that can be answered within Classic and Womanium, the author can be consulted about this. Back to Vardaan.
Right. So coming back to the question on how do we navigate the GitHub, how do you submit the project? So this is the GitHub repository. This is the link. If you can read this link through the slideshare, that's perfect. Otherwise, I can post it again, or it's also shared in your Canvas repositories, Canvas modules. So yeah, you can easily find this link. Even a Google search on Womanium, GitHub would pop up this link. So once you go to this link, this is the project repository. This is the home page, or I should call as where all the projects are listed, all the guidelines are listed. Very meticulously go through all the details mentioned over here. You should be very familiar with what makes you eligible. There are certain code of conducts, and there are certain eligibility criteria. For example, you need to be registered as a Womanium participant, right? If you're not already registered, please, the first step is to register at this Luma link. If I scroll down, you need to select your project, and there are 3 projects available. The first one is using Quantum and AI for climate. The second one is about using QML for conspicuous detection. The third one is a development of novel quantum algorithms. You are free to choose any one of these 3 or 2 of these 3 or even all 3 of them. It's completely up to you. You can participate in multiple projects too. So once you select which project you want to work on, just click on this particular link and open the project repository, which will have more details on what the project exactly is all about. So for example, this is the project about using quantum and AI for climate. Again, scroll through the entire repository, read each and every line, make sure that you are abiding by all the rules and regulations on participating in this project. And yeah, all the projects have a clear project description over here linked as a PDF. Go to that link and scroll through all the requirements over there too. So all the tasks, all the requirements for each and every project is linked over here as a PDF. For example, this is the one for quantum and AI for climate. Go through that. So see, something like this, project tasks and deliverables. So each of the projects are mentioned over here. There are multiple tasks. You need to complete all of them. And in the judging criteria, you also have a clear description on how many or how the points will be awarded, how the solutions will be judged, what is the passing criteria, or what makes you eligible for a fellowship, or what makes you eligible for Womanium grants. Everything has been clearly listed out in these project descriptions. But if you still feel there is any discrepancy, or if you still have any queries, Discord is the way to go, right? So please reach out to us on Discord, and we'll be very happy to answer all your queries. But coming back to how do you submit the projects, once you have decided upon the project and once you're clear with what you need to do in the project, go back to the GitHub repository. And this is the GitHub repository for the specific project. And click over here on fork this repository. I'm currently not logged into GitHub, but once you fork this repository, you can actually create a duplicate of this particular repository. The same copy of this GitHub repository will be created for your own GitHub account. And that is where you need to start working on. So once you have a duplicate created, you can start editing this README file. This is the README file. Do not change the structure of this README file, rather just input whatever details are required. For example, this is the project submission section. This is the section you need to fill out and input your work into. All the team members' details go over here. So just, for example, team member 1 name, email, Discord ID, GitHub ID, nationality, current affiliation. If any of these things are not eligible for you, just put NA over here. And yeah, similarly for team number 2, team number 3, if you do have less number of team members than the required, that's absolutely okay. You can just delete the rest of the team members. For example, if only 2 out of 4 are participating over here, remove team number 3 and team number 4 from this repo, right? That's okay. But remember, you cannot exceed the team number limit. If this particular project allows only 4 team members, you cannot have 5. You cannot have 6. 4 is the maximum limit. You cannot go beyond that. And then there's a section for the project solution. So link everything you build during this project, depending upon the task over here. Suppose you created a Jupyter notebook add that Jupyter notebook to your repository and link that over here, clearly describing what it is and how you want us to access it and review it. Similarly, we need a presentation deck for each of the projects. This could be just a deck, maybe a Google slide deck or something built on Canvas or something like that, right? Just a presentation deck, you can link it over here. If you want to go a step further, even record yourself or maybe record the entire team over a Zoom meeting, right? But keep it within 5 minutes and link that deck over here. This will be also evaluated during the entire project evaluation phase. So all the important stuff needs to go over here. Make the documentation very clear for the judges to review so that we can have an easy way of judging all the solutions. So once you have forked the repository, put all your stuff over here, you will have a fork repository which is personal to you, but it has the same structure as everyone else. Then you need to copy the link of that fork repository. So right now, this is the main repository, but after forking it, it will have some X, Y, Z stuff after Quantum AI for Climate, which represents your own personal GitHub repository. Copy that entire link, go to the Canvas modules and scroll down to module number 8 about Quantum AI Project. And there should be a quiz which allows you to submit your project. If this quiz isn't live yet, it will be live sooner to the project submission date. Go to that particular quiz and paste that where there's a question on submitting your GitHub link. That is all that is required from you. So I talked about the timeline on what all there is and what are the key dates you need to keep track of. You can take a screenshot, or while the GitHub recording is flowing, you can just pause it and note down all these deadlines as well. These are very important for you to keep track of because this is how you would eventually structure your project plan too. But now, a quick highlight on how we have received certain team registrations. Very proud to announce that over 38% participation in the projects are female participants, which is huge. And this holds true to the main mission of Womanium to encourage more diversity in projects. Very happy about this, but I want this percentage to grow even further. So invite your friends, invite your female colleagues, and make them participate in the project if they're interested, so we can grow this percentage and have a more a diverse participation in the projects. And talking about diversity, we also had a look into how it is geographically spread across the globe. And we had over 60 countries represented in projects, which is huge. But we want this number to grow even further. Another thing we noticed was maximum participation came from countries like India and US and Iran, even Egypt and Bangladesh. And the rest of the countries, although had smaller percentage in participation, we want that to increase. So people from European countries, Latin America, please invite your friends, right? This is a huge opportunity. This is a very good opportunity for them to highlight their skills, learn during the project. So invite your friends, invite your colleagues, anyone who you feel might be even remotely interested in the project, maybe about quantum or AI or something else, please invite them. How to register? Number one, register for the Womanium program. Have them register for the scholarships if they are a student. Number two, go to the GitHub, start working on the project, form your teams, and submit it back on Canvas. So we really want this both the countries to increase in number and also the percentage from each of these countries to grow. So I'm really looking forward to more participation from these less represented countries in the coming few days. So yeah, looking forward to that. And finally, coming to today's main session, that is how do you build a successful team? And the first one is to have a clear vision. And I cannot stress this enough, how important it is for you to have a very clear vision in mind when you are working on a particular project. This point also reminds me of Steve Jobs in a way, because Steve Jobs, in an interview sometime back, once remarked that the reason why Apple doesn't put a lot of technical gimmicks and features in their products is because they know what the customer wants, or they understand what is valuable to the customer. And they aim to provide exactly that. Nothing less, nothing more. They know what you need and they put it on their devices. And that is why Apple is so successful today, right? You today are in a very similar position. You need to build a project that just finds a solution to a genuine problem, nothing very broad, nothing too narrow, just the genuine problem fit, right? So have a clear vision for what you want to build and achieve. Make sure you take sufficient time to understand the project requirements and develop your own goals and milestones. So you see, when building a pyramid like in the Minions meme, you need to start by having a strong base structure. You cannot start by having from the top, right? You need to start from the very base. So go back to the fundamentals of your math and physics and computer science, understand what the problem is, and how can you start forming a structured plan to fulfill the vision you have in mind. And talking about goals and visions, this brings me to the first quiz question for all of the participants. And I'm curious to know, like, what are your personal goals and do they align with your teammates as well? So please take a minute and actually just take a second to reflect that and answer in the Discord chat about what your personal objective is and have you discussed it with your teammates and how it aligns with the overall and the overarching theme of your team.
Do your goals align with those of your teammates? A, no idea, we haven't talked about it yet. B, yes, we want to pass, and winning a grant or a fellowship is a bonus. C, yes, we want to win. D, no, I personally actually have different goals than some of my teammates. Please share your answers on Discord. Oh, I see many people here who say, yes, we want to win. Amazing. And thank you, Nagar, in the meantime, for answering Nahid's question. Really helpful. There are many mentors now online and helping to answer questions, which is amazing. Parsa says, who doesn't want to win? It's great. Wonderful. I see many C's and B's. Also some answers A, because it is only very early in the project. For teams have just been formed, or maybe you are still looking for a team and there hasn't been time yet to discuss and align on your goals. Okay, let's go to the next Vardaan.
Okay. Next question. Have you narrowed down on your topic yet?
In many of the projects, you can narrow down on a topic. For example, the Quantum+AI for Climate project is very broad, and you will need a more specialized to pick a more specialized topic yourself. Or the classic project, there you can pick between 3 papers and delve into that one. Have you made that choice yet? A, no. B, I personally have picked my preferred subtopic, but as a team, we haven't decided yet. C, yes, our whole team aligns on which paper or subtopic we'll dive into. Or D, not yet, way too busy with the modules. Wow, fantastic. I see really a number of C's, which means you are really in a good state right now. Others have ongoing discussions or have a personal preference but not discussed yet, which is all fine in this at this moment. But with this quiz and with this presentation, we want to encourage you to have these conversations with your team. Fantastic. I see many who have aligned on this, and for others, it will come up soon or are in ongoing discussions. And some are indeed too busy with the module still, which we can fully understand. Yeah, and if you haven't found a team yet, there are still multiple people who haven't found a team, and you can send your personal, the main information that you want, like which project, what is your background and skills, in the Discord channel for team formation. And if there is time at the end of the session, we will also open up for introductions for those who don't have a team yet. Okay, let's go on, Vardaan.
So I've worked in a lot of quantum projects and a lot of hackathons as well. But one of the most common pitfalls I have observed for success is when an alpha personality in the team wants to control most of the action. That is bad. And that alpha tries to be responsible for all the tasks, unfortunately, not being able to deliver on them on time. So that is one of the most common pitfalls I have observed over time. So just a suggestion over here, right now, working in a team, it's time to act as a team player. Know what you are good at and play to your strengths, but at the same time, respect what skills the other team members are bringing to the table and accordingly manage different tasks. Ensure roles are clarified and understood. So if a team member roles are not clear, uh, one of the two things will happen, right? Either the team will be inefficient because time will be wasted as more than one people are doing the same thing. So this is something which might be very relevant right now. The initial task in each of the project is very simple, right? So all the team members might have that feeling that, yeah, this is something which I can do. And all the team members are rushing towards completing that first task in a very hurry. That is inefficient, right? You need to complete all the tasks as a team player. So if all the members are spending time to complete the same task, yeah, it's redundant. We don't want that. That won't get you to something very good. The other thing which might happen if your tasks and roles are not clearly understood within the team is that the team will be ineffective because something very important won't get done at all. For example, if the entire team is spending too much time on the very initial task one or task two, you might have very little time left for completing the more important tasks four or five, right? That are way at the last of the project. Those are the crucial tasks, and this is common for each and every project. We start from a easy task and gradually move on to difficult tasks. Obviously, the difficult tasks carry more weightage, they carry more points, they might be judged more specifically if we are judging for QSL fellowships or Womanium grants or prizes. So make sure that you have the roles very clearly defined. And yeah, everyone is clear on what they need to do, how they want to do, and how you can manage different tasks differently. This also brings up another point. Clarify within your team what everyone's availability is, because we know that we have very varied participation in the audience. Some of them are students, some of them are PhDs and postdocs, some of them are even industry professionals. So they might have different kind of availability during the day and how they want to structure it. Some might be available during the evening time, some might be available only during the weekend. To make sure that you are comfortable with everyone's availability and structure and yeah, deliver responsibilities respectively. Also make sure that your time zones align, you are aware of everyone's background, you do not have any conflicting commitments. For example, if someone has an exam coming up front, you need to mention that to your entire team so that your team members are ready to take that on, right? If you have an exam, obviously you'll need to put more focus over there. Other team members can pull up the weight for you during that time period. But please be transparent and make sure that everything is cleared, and make sure everything is very clearly communicated to all the team members within your team. And this brings up another question. Are you aware what team zone your team members are in? Again, answer in the Discord chat. It is completely okay if you're spread across different time zones as well. But yeah, we want to know how you are working as a team.
And I see various answers coming up. Both A and B equally represented so far, meaning that some are in similar time zones, which could potentially make the communication easier, but maybe not, because some people, well, some coders like to work overnight and others are spread over various countries and time zones, which could maybe also actually give an advantage if you do your work and then clearly share with the others what you have accomplished. Maybe actually record a brief video of what you did, or there is maybe a moment for a touchdown to briefly discuss while switching, and then the next person continues. It could be extremely productive. And in the hackathon we held in the first program 2 years ago, we had both. We had winners from a very successful team with people from all over the world, from US, from Europe, from Asia, all together and working very effectively together, basically covering 24 hours of the day. And we had another team who actually knew each other and could work in person, which was extremely effective. So always can work, and key is communication. Yeah, and the answers keep coming, both A and B. Let's keep going.
And yeah, building onto what we just mentioned, right? Whether you are building onto just what we mentioned, whether you are in the same time zone or whether you are in different time zones, the key is to have a clear communication and trust built in the team, right? So healthy and effective communication builds trust. Giving positive and constructive feedback also helps to keep things on tracks and eliminate errors. You need to manage conflicts. You need to help a team focus on the goal rather than on interpersonal dynamics that can unnecessarily slow things down and deteriorate the morale of the team. One tip which I can share from my personal experience from a previous hackathon I won some time back was we used to touch base every single day. So yeah, to put it into a context, we had a week-long hackathon, right? The time was of the utmost essence. So every day, like a morning ritual, we used to post our last day's update on our chat and plan for the day ahead. So very similar to how you have stand-up meetings in many office cultures too, right? Just make sure that the entire team is aware of what you did the previous day and plan for the day ahead. Use the Discord platform as your own stand-up groups, right? Create a Discord chat or a Discord group. Create your own groups. If you don't want to be a part of the main community, create your own Discord groups as well. And build a cadence of daily updates or maybe weekly calls or whatever works for your team, right? Make sure that you are updating each and every one as soon as possible so that everyone is aware on the same page and you can together build the next steps on the project. Getting to know the team member is, I think, one of the most important parts of building morale on the team. The members are not minions, members are not robots. They need to get to know each other as human beings. So when relations are strong, relational tension will be weak, and people can focus on the work that needs to be done. And yeah, when we are working, it's also important to staying organized, right? Keep track of your tasks and deadlines. You can use tools like GitHub or projects as Kanban board to keep everyone on the same page, but also take casual breaks and stay hydrated to avoid any kind of burnout. The Womanium Quantum and AI 2024 projects have been structured in a very meticulously designed way for exactly 1 month's time period. So we have worked with a partner over a long course of time to make sure that each of the project is structured so it can be completed within a 1 month's time period. And we have hosted everything on GitHub. So this gives you two good ways to start working today. Number one, since it is hosted on GitHub, this gives you an opportunity and encouragement to start using tools like GitHub for efficient project management. GitHub is not just a tool to store your coding and literature files online. If you use GitHub efficiently, you can actually start allotting tasks within your team members and start having a very productive session on how the project is progressing. Some of the most successful multinationals and 501c companies are also using GitHub as the essential tool of building new projects. Most of the open source projects we see today in the software community are hosted on GitHub. So it's way more powerful than you have ever imagined. So take the best use of it. Another advantage which the project structure gives you right now is to divide each project into multiple tasks. Some of the tasks, some of the projects have been already differentiated into different tasks. So now it's up to you to prepare a structure and a working plan on how you want to take that forward. Read through all the tasks and understand each of every one of the tasks, and then start allotting these tasks to different team members. Say, task one, I can complete it in the next 2 days. Set a team deadline to it, and then complete that task in the next 2 days. Let's say then task two, let's say needs 4 days. Allot the next 4 days to it, and so on. Make sure you spare a couple of days at the very end of the duration so that you can compile your project, you can make sure that your documentation for the project is right, and make sure you have enough time left for any last minute emergency corrections to the project. Things can go wrong, so you should always have some spare time at the very end to make up for it. And while you are organizing different tasks, you also need to be tracking the progress and having different milestones to be accountable for it. So building upon the same example, right? Once you figure out how and when to complete the task and subtask and different things in the project, start documenting your progress. So it shouldn't be like, I will do the task in the next 2 days and then you don't. And no one is even held accountable to it. That's a pretty bad practice. So following up on the timelines is equally and maybe if not more important than setting them up. Documentation in science is very important, and also in this project. Building processes and tracking progress are necessary for many, many reasons. And this step builds efficiencies that allow a team to replicate its success. It also helps to keep the stakeholders informed and the team members aware of what is happening now, what needs to be happening next, and how together we can achieve the final goal. You can consider using some team management and project management platforms like, let's say, Asana or Jira, Monday, or a few of the other free tools available, but that's completely up to you. If you're not a fan of these project management tools, you can even create a simple Excel sheet, right? A Google Sheet or something like that, which just keeps track of how the project is progressing, what are the different tasks, what are the different deadlines, and share it with every team member in your team so that everyone is aware of how the project is progressing. Finally, check on team health. But before I move on to that, quick question on the quiz. How do you want to work together in this project, right? Please put the questions, answer to the questions on Discord. It's completely up to you. Some people prefer to work independently and just track it on GitHub. Others like to have a co-working session where they have a live session, maybe a Zoom call, or meet in person, and they together tackle the project and difficulties. Some are both. Yeah, like we will post it on GitHub, but we'll also organize certain weekly sessions or bi-weekly sessions to together work on certain problems. Completely up to you, but it's essential that you discuss this with your team. Like, what is the most efficient way to work on the project for the next 1 month?
So far, I see mostly C and also B. Wonderful. That is also what we recommend. Either do co-working sessions or work independently and then meet to check in with each other, discuss the progress, discuss the challenges and obstacles to tackle, and then work again. But not only fully offline in a way, keeping track via GitHub and messages. Meeting will really help to push the projects forward.
And finally, you need to check on your team health. You need to check up on team members if they need any kind of additional support. Make sure that your team is functioning well. At the early stage, I think team performance is everything. So you should stay aware of any kind of red flags, make sure there's no bullying, make sure no individual team members is isolated, or maybe one person is being burdened with a lot of tasks. Make sure and ensure very strictly that everyone in the team is happy. Remember to reach out to the Womanium staff, anyone, me, Marlu, Jasmine, Raj, Prachi, anyone from the Womanium team. You can reach out at any given point of time if you want to report anything against the code of conduct, right? We are very strict on that. We want everyone to have a good time over here. So please ensure that your teams are functioning well. Do maybe like a weekly session to ensure that everyone is feeling positive, they are on board with the team on how the project is progressing. And if anyone feels any issue they want to bring us to the team, you can reach out to us even on DMs, even on by mail, anything, right? Please feel free to reach out to us to report everything. Make sure everyone is happy at the end of the day.
Yeah, and if I can briefly take over the screen share for Dan. For team health, there is kind of two stages. One is the collaboration going well? Is everyone doing the tasks you need to do? Is the communication going well? But then it can also happen that there is actually behavior that goes against the code of conduct, which would be really a next stage of when a collaboration doesn't go well. And I will try to, on my other computer briefly share the code of conduct and also emphasize that in those cases you can report behavior to the team. Hopefully this is something that won't happen at all. It won't happen, but we have a big cohort and there might be something. So we want to share with you how to go about this. In the welcome channel on Discord, you can find in the first message at the end, in the program expectations, there we emphasize that we want an inclusive experience. Womanium is committed to providing an enjoyable, productive, and harassment-free experience for everyone. This includes appropriate messages and behavior. Participants should send appropriate and relevant messages, use maturity and discretion during interactions. No spamming is allowed, no NSFW content, no derogatory language. This holds on our Discord, but it also holds within the team. Report harassment. Report any instances of harassment to a Womanium team member. All reports are taken seriously. Breaking rules, encouraging others to break rules, or intentionally refusing to report incidents will result in consequences. And again, here what is written is applicable to this Discord server, but if something like that happens within your project, we ask you to report it. So again, hopefully we share this now out of redundancy and it is not needed at all. But in case something happens, we want you to know that we are there for you. Going back to your screen share, Vardaan.
Right. And this brings me to a point where I want to pose another quiz question to the participants. How well do you know your team members? Put the answers back on Discord. If you, because we have observed a lot of team members are meeting for the first time through this program, which is amazing news. But a lot of participants know already each other, maybe from the past Womanium programs or from some other quantum program, or maybe they know each other in real life too, like having met in person. So we also want to know, how did you meet your team members? How did you form your teams? So please let us know on the Discord.
Great, I see all answers showing up. D, we know each other in person. Others, A and B, not really, but we exchanged some messages. Others, C, we had an initial virtual call or meeting. And that also means that many new connections, teams, and bigger network is being built right here, right now, connecting people all over the world through science, through quantum.
Right. And I'm very happy, right? These projects, these hackathons, these programs obviously teach you a lot of quantum stuff, a lot of AI stuff, a lot of technical stuff. But this is a huge opportunity for you to network, get to know new people, because these networks, these connections will be there for you for the rest of your life. So if you can even find one or two people who really inspire you, who motivate you to do something good in your life, I think that is the best you can get from these kind of programs and these project collaborations. So look forward to that. Try meet new people who encourage you to take one step forward, to take one extra step in your journey into quantum or AI, whatever field you want to move into. And I have been talking a lot about building successful projects, but had this entire project or any kind of project been easy to do, they wouldn't have been posed as a problem statement for you, right? They would have been solved by everyone. We know that these projects are challenging, and that is why we expect problems in each and every team, right? Uh, it's completely okay to have different technical problems coming up in your teams. The only point I want to mention over here is that you need to iterate. You need to identify your problems early. As many of you might already know, we have a Quantum Solutions Launchpad running program for the past 1 year or so. And one thing which is I have learned working with some very amazing colleagues on some very exciting projects over the course of 1 year is that regardless of what the team is, how the team is structured, or what even the project is, if the project is challenging, there would be problems. Now it is up to you. How do you want to tackle those problems? Do you want to just, do you want to just give up? Or do you want to actually tackle that problem and move forward? Maybe your desired idea is not working, or maybe your quantum machine learning model is not converging to give a very efficient solution, right? One thing which I have learned is that you must be having difficulties, but it again up to you to take a step back and evaluate. Be ready to introspect, learn. If there's a chance on overcoming that problem, well and good. But if you really feel that this is not going to work out, be ready to pivot. Be ready to take a plan B and move forward, right? Genius is not in sticking with your ego and going down a failing path. Genius is actually in cutting your losses and pivoting at the very right time. And so, yeah, identify your problems as early as possible and work together as a team to overcome them. Stay professional, right? Regardless of whether you are a student or you are in between jobs or even you are fully employed, all of you must act as professionals and treat each other with the utmost respect, with clear communication while collaborating on the project. You all are professionals and should be treated equally with respect while working on a common project. You should be honest, because being honest is a highly important attribute for people in all fields. It's not just for quantum or AI or this project. When you're honest, people will trust you more. Time management is very important. So you should arrive to meetings on time. I'm expecting a lot of meetings to be scheduled between team members to discuss different parts of the project. If you are scheduling something, let's say at 10 a.m., you should be there at 10 a.m. If you are not able to commit to that, you won't be able to complete the task you volunteered, and the team will have a hard time following up. So as a team, follow good time management practices. Try to take responsibility for all your actions and decisions. Avoid the blame game. Avoid trying to escape on your obligations and pin tasks onto someone else. If you say you want to complete XYZ, be responsible and accountable to complete that given task in the given time frame. If you're not able to do so, accept that and discuss with your team how best you can move forward. Maybe take help from others, reach out to the Womanium team if that is something you cannot tackle on your own. But please be accountable for your own work. Teamwork, this is the team project, so we expect everyone to work well within the teams, set aside differences to achieve your shared goals, right? Differences are okay. It's ideal if there are no differences, but even if you have certain personal differences, just set this aside for the given time period. Work on your shared goals together. Maintain a very good relationship with your members, with your teammates at all times, and avoid talking behind each other's backs, right? Be very transparent and clear within the team. Be very dedicated to your role as well, to the team you belong to. Do not hesitate to go an extra mile to achieve your goals and your team's goals, right? You should be very, very committed to the project. This is something which you want to build. So be ready to take it an extra mile, work extra hours, work on late nights, wake up early to work on the project. Uh, be ready for that, right? So just wanted to highlight that. And after almost an hour-long session on describing how to make a successful team, I just wanted to see what have you learned from this, right? So take a minute to help us understand what is your list of do's and don'ts when you start working on this project. And it would be really great if you could share it with us on Discord right now. So what are the things which you want to follow, which are your list of do's in the project? And what is something which you are a strict no, yeah, this should not be done. This is a don't list. So list all those things in Discord, and yeah, then we can move on to an interactive discussion with all the participants.
And let me share some already. Yara from Brazil and the US shared earlier, golden rule, treat people how you want to be treated as a guidance. And then we got it shared, very important insight, these projects are not only about quantum, but there is space for learning how to collaborate with each other and how to organize the teamwork. And this is something you will use in the future, in your professional life, in your personal life. So take this opportunity also to expand your skills and learn in that. Wonderful. I see many do's and don'ts popping up. Do communicate clearly the roles and your schedule. Don't miss meetings, be late to meetings, not respecting each other's time. Hussein, do start early with the project, work hard. Don't ChatGPT or copy paste. Very, very good point. Any solutions where we see any potential plagiarism or ChatGPT, in the sense of not using ChatGPT for some inspiration, like what are potential topics on quantum computing for climate, but taking solutions or pieces of text from there will be disqualified. And then regarding the working hard and excelling, there was earlier a question about could these projects be published in a paper? And if your team does well in this project, there is potential that the solutions will already be there or soon be there to be published in a paper. Izzy, don't be discouraged when something doesn't work out. Know when to pivot into something else, into another branch or other solution. Nagar, do not have too much ego. Do stay committed, delegate things to your team members who might be better at it. Oh, and wonderful from Nydia, stay true to your strengths, communicate your limitations, know that communication is critical. If you have a blocker, tell your team, they might be able to help. Very important, help each other. And even if you said like, okay, I will do this part, Vardaan will do that part, I don't necessarily expect that Vardaan can fully finish that and then just share the result with me. I do expect Vardaan to get back to me within that process and share like, hey, I made progress, but this is a really, I have a blocker here. Can we dive into that together? That is also something we do in the Womanium team, where most of us work, well, all of us work virtually. Vardaan from India, I am in the US currently, Heisa in Denmark, Alex in Italy, and now you will tackle this together. Start early, have fun. Very important too. Have fun. This is not supposed to be some boring exercises. It is something that can make impact, and most importantly, you can have fun in coming up with creative solutions. Pick what you want. Have fun collaborating. Damian from Mexico, important. Don't fight over meaningless things and not achieving the goals. Instead, work with the schedule, reach agreements in the team. Ira, keep the ideas popping. Keep having follow-up discussions. Be clear about expectations that you have from others, that you have from yourself in your role, and stay responsible. Good point from Nydia. When you look for data sets, it might be that you might not have the same information based on your country, and you might not have the same access. So keep that in mind and help each other. Additional advice, Vardaan, that you see from everyone here that you would like to share?
Yeah, I see, like, honestly, almost all the points I have in mind already being covered on Discord. So yeah, I think all the participants are already well covered with what they want to do, how they want to do. But from the Womanium team, we just jotted down a baseline to start from. So a list of do's and don'ts which you can start working from. But this list is not limited to this slide, right? If you feel there's a do which you want to incorporate in your team, add it to the list. If there's something which you are really strict that you do not want happening in your team, add it to the don'ts list, right? Just keep building on this list. and implement that in your team for a happy next month and potentially even further, right? These teams will remain for a long, long time if you do well and stay happy within each other's company. So I'll just quickly read through the different points mentioned over here. Number one is to leave your job titles at the door. The audience is very diverse. We have professional people coming in, but we also have students and undergrads coming in. All of you are working on the same project. You might have certain skills you are better at, but at the same time, you should respect other people's skills as well. So treat everyone equally and with the utmost respect for the diversity, for the background, and for the skills they're bringing to the table. Please leave your professional job titles at the door before beginning the project. Be open to crazy ideas. So some of the projects we have are open-ended. So you can please do not limit yourself to a certain prerequisite knowledge or something like that. Just be open to crazy ideas. Take ideas from everyone in the team. Make sure everyone is feeling involved in the decision making so that you together as a team come up with the best ideas suited for your team and be successful in it. Because you will be working on crazy ideas, it is possible that some of the ideas might not work. So fail fast, learn, reflect, and iterate. As soon as you identify something is not working, be ready to pivot. And please feel free to reach out for help. Be as shameless as possible in reaching out to help within your team members, but also outside of your team to mentors, maybe people in the industry you want to refer to. And the Womanium team is always there to help you out, right? We have mentors dedicated for it. We even have certain project managers dedicated to specific projects who will be introduced to you later. And they would be, in a very good space to help you out with each and every project. So please feel free to reach out to us. Network, 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 and have fun. This project won't do any good, even if you win up the project, if you haven't met new people and have had fun, right? Your experience is everything over here. Try to have all the do's included, but also stay within your limits and don't keep the don'ts in mind as well. So don't go for too far-fetched of a project scope. This is one thing which is very common in small projects and hackathons because everyone wants to win. Who doesn't want to win, right? So in that process, you might come up with an idea that is really, really good, but it's not particularly suited for a 1-month project. Keep in mind about something like that might happen, right? So make sure that your project is suited for a 1-month timeline so that you can complete it. Even if you have an exceptionally good idea that can change the world, but it is not being completed within 1 month, it is not of any use, right? We won't be able to evaluate it. So just keep the timeline in mind. Do not apply any stereotypes. Like I mentioned, respect everyone, respect diversity, respect people, respect differences, right? You should be open to everyone contributing. While working on different projects is something which I've also experienced in the past. Sometimes we want to try our project solution to cover everything. It will solve something in healthcare. It will also try to solve something in finance. That same solution can also be applied to logistics, optimization, something else, right? You can have a common solution built for everyone, but don't define a scope that is too broad of a solution that we aren't able to judge it critically. Make sure that the project is well aligned, streamlined, and very specific to a niche of a problem you are trying to solve. Don't be negative, don't be shy. Try to have a positive value system in the entire team. Always be open to new ideas, even if you want to, maybe comment on a particular team member's idea, or you want to maybe challenge certain ideas. Be in a very positive manner, right? Respect the ideas and then try to suggest your own idea. Do not be negative. It's bad. It's just not good for your team's health. Do not be shy. Just like I mentioned earlier, be absolutely shameless on reaching out for help, right? Just ping me, ping Marlu, ping everyone in the Womanium team multiple times if you really want to get an answer and if you are not actively responding. ping your team members multiple times. Don't be annoying, but yeah, please do not be shy as well. Please feel free to reach out for help. Another point I would like to very specifically highlight over here, do not share your personal information, right? I should have written this in bold and underlined it, but this is very important. We are meeting a lot of new people in this cohort. We have over 4,000, 5,000 people enrolled, which is huge. So please be mindful that these are unknown people you are meeting for the first time, right? So do not share any personal information even with your team members. Try to have all the conversations on Discord, um, ideally on the Womanium Discord channel, so it's monitored by the Womanium team. But if not Womanium, your own personal Discord groups. But keep it to Discord only, right? So because of that, you are not in a position to share your personal cell numbers or your personal email IDs. Do not share that, right? And in case you do come across certain conflicting arrangements with your team members or something you're not comfortable with, you are invited to reach out to us at any given point of time, right? So please feel free to reach out to the Womanium team for any misbehavior, violations of code of conduct, something you are not comfortable with. We are happy and very ready to take that up heads on. And yeah.
Thank you all for staying until the end and for really your great input and enthusiasm and drive, and now starting with the projects while finishing the modules. It is amazing.